White Nights, Chapter 1, brought to you by RustBooks.
It was a wonderful night. Such a night as is only possible when we are young, dear reader. The sky was so starry, so bright, that, looking at it, one could not help asking oneself whether ill-humored and capricious people could live under such a sky. That is a youthful question too, dear reader, very youthful, but may the Lord put it more frequently into your heart. Speaking of capricious and ill-humored people, I cannot help recalling my moral condition all that day. From early morning I had been oppressed by a strange despondency. It suddenly seemed to me that I was lonely, that everyone was forsaking me and going away from me. Of course, anyone is entitled to ask who everyone was. For though I had been living almost 8 years in Petersburg, I had hardly an acquaintance. But what did I want with acquaintances? I was acquainted with all Petersburg as it was. That was why I felt as though they were all deserting me when all Petersburg packed up and went to its summer villa. I felt afraid of being left alone, and for 3 whole days I wandered about the town in profound dejection, not knowing what to do with myself. Whether I walked in the Nevsky, went to the gardens, or sauntered on the embankment, there was not one face of those I had been accustomed to meet at the same time and place all the year. They, of course, do not know me, but I know them. I know them intimately. I have almost made a study of their faces, and am delighted when they are gay, and downcast when they are under a cloud. I have almost struck up a friendship with one old man whom I meet every blessed day at the same hour in Fontanka. Such a grave, pensive countenance. He is always whispering to himself and brandishing his left arm, while in his right hand he holds a long gnarled stick with a gold knob. He even notices me and takes a warm interest in me. If I happen not to be at a certain time in the same spot in Fontanka, I am certain he feels disappointed. That is how it is that we almost bow to each other, especially when we are both in good humor. The other day, when we had not seen each other for 2 days and met on the 3rd, we were actually touching our hats, but, realizing in time, dropped our hands and passed each other with a look of interest. I know the houses, too. As I walk along, they seem to run forward in the streets. I have my favorites to look out at me from every window. Dear friends. One of them intends to be treated by the architect this summer. I shall go every day on purpose to see that the operation is not a failure. God forbid! But I shall never forget an incident with a very pretty little house of a light pink color. It was such a charming little brick house. It looked so hospitably at me, and so proudly at its ungainly neighbors, that my heart rejoiced whenever I happened to pass it. Suddenly last week I walked along the street, and when I looked at my friend, I heard a plaintive,
"They're painting me yellow. Why? Why me?"
The villains! The barbarians! They had spared nothing, neither columns nor cornices, and my poor little friend was as yellow as a canary. It almost made me bilious, and to this day I have not had the courage to visit my poor disfigured friend, painted the color of the Celestial Empire. So now you understand, reader, in what sense I am acquainted with all Petersburg. I have mentioned already that I had felt worried for 3 whole days before I guessed the cause of my uneasiness. And I felt ill at ease in the street. This one had gone, and that one had gone, and what had become of the other? And at home I did not feel like myself either. For 2 evenings I was puzzling my brains to think what was amiss in my corner, why I felt so uncomfortable in it. And in perplexity I scanned my grimy green walls, my ceiling covered with a spider's web, the growth of which Matrona has so successfully encouraged. I looked over all my furniture, examined every chair, wondering whether the trouble lay there. For if one chair is not standing in the same position as it stood the day before, I am not myself. I looked at the window, but it was all in vain. I was not a bit the better for it. I even bethought me to send for Matrona, and was giving her some fatherly admonitions in regard to the spider's web and sluttishness in general, but she simply stared at me in amazement and went away without saying a word, so that the spider's web is comfortably hanging in its place to this day. I only at last this morning realized what was wrong. Why? They are giving me the slip and making off to their summer villas. Forgive the triviality of the expression, but I am in no mood for fine language. For everything that had been in Petersburg had gone or was going away for the holidays. For every respectable gentleman of dignified appearance who took a cab was at once transformed in my eyes into a respectable head of a household who, after his daily duties were over, was making his way to the bosom of his family, to the summer villa. For all the passers-by had now quite a peculiar air, which seemed to say to everyone they met,
"We are only here for a moment, gentlemen. In another 2 hours, we will be going to the summer villa."
They all seem very happy. For all the passers-by had now quite a peculiar air, which seemed to say to everyone they met, if a window opened, after delicate fingers, white as snow, had tapped upon the pane, and the head of a pretty girl was thrust out, calling to a street seller with pots of flowers, at once on the spot I fancied that those flowers were being bought not simply in order to enjoy the flowers in the spring in stuffy town lodgings, but because they would all be very soon moving into the country and could take the flowers with them. What is more, I made such progress in my new peculiar sort of investigation that I could distinguish correctly from the mere air of each in what summer villa he was living. The inhabitants of Kameny and Aptekersky Islands, or of the Peterhof Road, were marked by the studied elegance of their manner, their fashionable summer suits, and the fine carriages in which they drove to town. Visitors to Pargolovo and places further away impressed one at first sight by their reasonable and dignified air. The tripper to Krestovsky Island could be recognized by his look of irrepressible gaiety. If I chanced to meet a long procession of wagoners walking lazily with the reins in their hands beside wagons loaded with regular mountains of furniture, tables, chairs, ottomans and sofas, and domestic utensils of all sorts, frequently with a decrepit cook sitting on the top of it all, guarding her master's property as though it were the apple of her eye. Or if I saw boats heavily loaded with household goods crawling along the Neva or Fontanka to the Black River or the islands, the wagons and the boats were multiplied tenfold, 100-fold in my eyes. I fancied that everything was astir and moving. Everything was going in regular caravans to the summer villas. It seemed as though Petersburg threatened to become a wilderness, so that at last I felt ashamed, mortified, and sad that I had nowhere to go for the holidays and no reason to go away. I was ready to go away with every wagon, to drive off with every gentleman of respectable appearance who took a cab. But no one, absolutely no one, invited me. It seemed they had forgotten me, as though really I were a stranger to them. I took long walks, succeeding, as I usually did, in quite forgetting where I was, when I suddenly found myself at the city gates. Instantly I felt light-hearted, and I passed the barrier and walked between cultivated fields and meadows, unconscious of fatigue, and feeling all over as though a burden were falling off my soul. All the passers-by gave me such friendly looks that they seemed almost greeting me. They all seemed so pleased at something. They were all smoking cigars, every one of them. And I felt pleased as I never had before. It was as though I had suddenly found myself in Italy. So strong was the effect of nature upon a half-sick townsman like me, almost stifling between city walls. There is something inexpressibly touching in nature round Petersburg when at the approach of spring she puts forth all her might, all the powers bestowed on her by heaven, when she breaks into leaf, decks herself out, and spangles herself with flowers. Somehow I cannot help being reminded of a frail, consumptive girl, at whom one sometimes looks with compassion, sometimes with sympathetic love, whom sometimes one simply does not notice, though suddenly in one instant she becomes as though by chance inexplicably lovely and exquisite, and impressed and intoxicated, one cannot help asking oneself, what power made those sad, pensive eyes flash with such fire? What summoned the blood to those pale, wan cheeks? What bathed with passion those soft features? What set that bosom heaving? What so suddenly called strength, life, and beauty into the poor girl's face, making it gleam with such a smile, kindle with such bright, sparkling laughter? You look round, you seek for someone, you conjecture. But the moment passes, and next day you meet, maybe, the same pensive and preoccupied look as before, the same pale face, the same meek and timid movements, and even signs of remorse, traces of a mortal anguish and regret for the fleeting distraction. And you grieve that the momentary beauty has faded so soon, never to return, that it flashed upon you so treacherously, so vainly. Grieve because you had not even time to love her. And yet my night was better than my day. This was how it happened. I came back to the town very late, and it had struck 10 as I was going towards my lodgings. My way lay along the canal embankment, where at that hour you never meet a soul. It is true that I live in a very remote part of the town. I walked along singing, for when I am happy I am always humming to myself, like every happy man who has no friend or acquaintance with whom to share his joy. 2. Suddenly I had a most unexpected adventure. Leaning on the canal railing stood a woman with her elbows on the rail. She was apparently looking with great attention at the muddy water of the canal. She was wearing a very charming yellow hat and a jaunty little black mantle. 3. She's a girl, and I am sure she is dark, I thought. She did not seem to hear my footsteps, and did not even stir when I passed by with bated breath and loudly throbbing heart. Strange, I thought, she must be deeply absorbed in something. And all at once I stopped as though petrified. I heard a muffled sob. Yes, I was not mistaken. The girl was crying, and a minute later I heard sob after sob. Good heavens, my heart sank. And timid as I was with women, yet this was such a moment. I turned, took a step towards her, and should certainly have pronounced the word "Madam" if I had not known that that exclamation has been uttered 1,000 times in every Russian society novel. It was only that reflection stopped me. But while I was seeking for a word, the girl came to herself, looked round, started, cast down her eyes, and slipped by me along the embankment. I at once followed her, but she, divining this, left the embankment, crossed the road, and walked along the pavement. I dared not cross the street after her. My heart was fluttering like a captured bird. All at once a chance came to my aid. Along the same side of the pavement, there suddenly came into sight, not far from the girl, a gentleman in evening dress, of dignified years, though by no means of dignified carriage. He was staggering and cautiously leaning against the wall. The girl flew straight as an arrow, with the timid haste one sees in all girls who do not want anyone to volunteer to accompany them home at night, and no doubt the staggering gentleman would not have pursued her if my good luck had prompted him. Suddenly, without a word to anyone, the gentleman set off and flew full speed in pursuit of my unknown lady. She was racing like the wind, but the staggering gentleman was overtook her. The girl uttered a shriek, and I bless my luck for the excellent knotted stick, which happened on that occasion to be in my right hand. In a flash, I was on the other side of the street. In a flash, the obtrusive gentleman had taken in the position, had grasped the irresistible argument, fallen back without a word, and only when we were very far away protested against my action in rather vigorous language. But his words hardly reached us. "Give me your arm, and he won't dare to annoy us further." Warm, grateful. She took my arm without a word, still trembling with excitement and terror. Oh, obtrusive gentleman, how I blessed you at that moment. I stole a glance at her. She was very charming and dark. I had guessed right. On her black eyelashes there still glistened a tear. From her recent terror or her former grief, I don't know. But there was already a gleam of a smile on her lips. She too stole a glance at me, faintly blushed, and looked down.
There, you see? Why did you drive me away? If I had been here, nothing would have happened.
But I did not know you. I thought that you too.
Why? Do you know me now?
A little? Here, for instance, why are you trembling?
Oh, you are right at the first guess. Yes, from the first glance you have guessed the sort of man you have to do with. Precisely. I am shy with women. I am agitated. I don't deny it. As much so as you were a minute ago when that gentleman alarmed you. I am in some alarm now. It's like a dream, and I never guessed, even in my sleep, that I should ever talk with any woman.
What? Really?
Yes, if my arm trembles, it is because it has never been held by a pretty little hand like yours. I am a complete stranger to women. That is, I have never been used to them. You see, I am alone. I don't even know how to talk to them. Here, I don't know now whether I have not said something silly to you. Tell me frankly, I assure you beforehand that I am not quick to take offense.
No, nothing. Quite the contrary. And if you insist on my speaking frankly, I will tell you that women like such timidity. And if you want to know more, I like it too. And I won't drive you away till I get home.
You will make me lose my timidity, and then farewell to all my chances.
Chances? What chances? Of what? That's not so nice.
I beg your pardon. I am sorry. It was a slip of the tongue. But how can you expect one at such a moment to have no desire?
To be liked, eh?
Well, yes, but do, for goodness sake, be kind. Think what I am. Here I am 26, and I have never seen anyone. How can I speak well, tactfully, and to the point? It will seem better to you when I have told you everything openly. I don't know how to be silent when my heart is speaking. Well, never mind. Believe me, not one woman, never. No acquaintance of any sort. And I do nothing but dream every day that at last I shall meet someone. Oh, if only you knew how often I have been in love in that way.
How? With whom?
Why, with no one, with an ideal, with the one I dream of in my sleep. I make up regular romances in my dreams. Ah, you don't know me. It's true, of course, I have met 2 or 3 women, but what sort of women were they? They were all landladies, But I shall make you laugh if I tell you that I have several times thought of speaking, just simply speaking, to some aristocratic lady in the street, when she is alone, I need hardly say. Speaking to her, of course, timidly, respectfully, passionately, telling her that I am perishing in solitude, begging her not to send me away, saying that I have no chance of making the acquaintance of any woman, impressing upon her that it is a positive duty for a woman not to repulse so timid a prayer from such a luckless man as me. That, in fact, all I ask is that she should say 2 or 3 sisterly words with sympathy, should not repulse me at first sight, should take me on trust and listen to what I say, should laugh at me if she likes, encourage me, say 2 words to me, only 2 words, even though we never meet again afterwards. But you are laughing. However, that is why I am telling you.
Don't be vexed. I am only laughing at your being your own enemy, and if you had tried, you would have succeeded, perhaps, even though it had been in the street. The simpler the better. No kind-hearted woman, unless she were stupid, or, still more, vexed about something at the moment, could bring herself to send you away without those 2 words which you ask for so timidly. But what am I saying? Of course she would take you for a madman. I was judging by myself. I know a good deal about other people's lives.
Oh, thank you. You don't know what you have done for me now.
I am glad. I am glad. But tell me, how did you find out that I was the sort of woman with whom, well, whom you think worthy of attention and friendship? In fact, not a landlady, as you say.
What made me? But you were alone. That gentleman was too insolent. It's night. You must admit that it was a Dewey.
What made you decide to come up to me? No, I mean before, on the other side. You know you meant to come up to me.
On the other side, really, I don't know how to answer. I am afraid to. Do you know, I have been happy today? I walked along singing. I went out into the country. I have never had such happy moments. Perhaps it was my fancy. Forgive me for referring to it. I fancied you were crying, and I could not bear to hear it. It made my heart ache. Oh my goodness. Surely I might be troubled about you. Surely there was no harm in feeling brotherly compassion for you? I beg your pardon. I said compassion. Well, in short, surely you would not be offended at my involuntary impulse to go up to you.
Stop. That's enough. Don't talk of it. It's my fault for having spoken of it, but I am glad I was not mistaken in you. But here I am home. I must go down this turning. It's 2 steps from here. Goodbye.
Surely you don't mean that we shall never see each other again. Surely this is not to be the end?
You see, at first you only wanted 2 words, and now, however, I won't say anything. Perhaps we shall meet.
I shall come here tomorrow. Oh, forgive me. I am already making demands.
Yes, you are not very patient. You are almost insisting.
Listen, forgive me if I tell you something else. I tell you what, I can't help coming here tomorrow. I am a dreamer. I have so little real life that I look upon such moments as this now as so rare, that I cannot help going over such moments again in my dreams. I shall be dreaming of you all night, a whole week, a whole year. I shall certainly come here tomorrow, just here, to this place, just at the same hour, and I shall be happy remembering today. This place is dear to me already. I have already 2 or 3 such places in Petersburg. I once shed tears over memories, like you. Who knows, perhaps you were weeping 10 minutes ago over some memory.
Very good. Perhaps I will come here tomorrow too at 10 o'clock. I see that I can't forbid you. The fact is, I have to be here. Don't imagine that I am making an appointment with you. I tell you beforehand that I have to be here on my own account. But, well, I tell you straight out, I don't mind if you do come. To begin with, something unpleasant might happen, as it did today, but never mind that. In short, I should simply like to see you, to say 2 words to you. Only, mind, you must not think the worse of me now. Don't think I make appointments so lightly. I shouldn't make it except that, but let that be my secret. Only a compact beforehand.
A compact? Speak, tell me all beforehand. I agree to anything. I am ready for anything. I answer for myself. I will be obedient, respectful. You know me.
It's just because I do know you that I ask you to come tomorrow. I know you perfectly. But mind, you will come on the condition, in the first place, only be good, do what I ask. You see, I speak frankly. You won't fall in love with me. That's impossible, I assure you. I am ready for friendship. Here's my hand. But you mustn't fall in love with me, I beg you.
I swear.
Hush, don't swear. I know you are ready to flare up like gunpowder. Don't think ill of me for saying so. If only you knew. I too have no one to whom I can say a word, whose advice I can ask. Of course, one does not look for an advisor in the street, but you are an exception. I know you as though we had been friends for 20 years. You won't deceive me, will you?
You will see. The only thing is,
I don't know how I am going to survive the next 24 hours.
Sleep soundly. Good night, and remember that I have trusted you already. But you exclaimed so nicely just now. Surely one can't be held responsible for every feeling, even for brotherly sympathy. Do you know, that was so nicely said that the idea struck me at once that I might confide in you.
Do, but about what? What is it?
Wait till tomorrow. Meanwhile, let that be a secret. So much the better for you. It will give it a faint flavor of romance. Perhaps I will tell you tomorrow, and perhaps not. I will talk to you a little more beforehand. We will get to know each other better.
Oh yes, I will tell you all about myself tomorrow. But what has happened? It is as though a miracle had befallen me. My God, where am I? Come, tell me, aren't you glad that you were not angry and did not drive me away at the first moment as any other woman would have done? In 2 minutes, you have made me happy forever. Yes, happy. Who knows? Perhaps you have reconciled me with myself, solved my doubts? Perhaps such moments come upon me. But there, I will tell you all about it tomorrow. You shall know everything, everything.
Very well, I consent. You shall begin.
Agreed.
Goodbye till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow. And we parted. I walked about all night. I could not make up my mind to go home. I was so happy. Tomorrow.
Well, so you have survived, she said, pressing both my hands.
I've been here for the last 2 hours. You don't know what a state I have been in all day.
I know. But to business. Do you know why I have come? Not to talk nonsense, as I did yesterday. I tell you what, we must behave more sensibly in future. I thought a great deal about it last night.
In what way? In what must we be more sensible? I am ready for my part, but really, nothing more sensible has happened to me in my life than this now.
Really? In the first place, I beg you not to squeeze my hands so. Secondly, I must tell you that I spent a long time thinking about you and feeling doubtful today.
And how did it end?
How did it end? The upshot of it is that we must begin all over again, because the conclusion I reached today was that I don't know you at all, that I behaved like a baby last night, like a little girl. And, of course, the fact of it is that it's my soft heart that is to blame. That is, I sang my own praises, as one always does in the end when one analyzes one's conduct. And therefore, to correct my mistake, I've made up my mind to find out all about you minutely. But as I have no one from whom I can find out anything, you must tell me everything fully yourself. Well, what sort of man are you? Come, make haste, begin. Tell me your whole history.
My history! My history! But who has told you I have a history? I have no history.
Then how have you lived if you have no history?
Absolutely without any history. I have lived, as they say, keeping myself to myself. That is, utterly alone. Alone. Entirely alone. Do you know what it means to be alone?
But how alone? Do you mean you never saw anyone?
Oh no, I see people, of course, but still, I am alone.
Why, do you never talk to anyone?
Strictly speaking, with no one.
Who are you then? Explain yourself. Stay, I guess, most likely like me, you have a grandmother. She is blind and will never let me go anywhere, so that I have almost forgotten how to talk.
Good heavens, what misery! But no, I haven't a grandmother like that.
Well, if you haven't, why do you sit at home?
Listen, do you want to know the sort of man I am?
Yes.
In the strict sense of the word?
In the very strictest sense of the word.
Very well, I am a type.
Type? What sort of type?
She laughed as though she had not had a chance of laughing for a whole year.
Yes, it's very amusing talking to you. Look, here's a seat. Let us sit down. No one is passing here, no one will hear us, and begin your history. For it's no good you're telling me, I know you have a history, only you are concealing it. To begin with, what is a type?
A type? A type is an original. It's an absurd person. It's a character. Listen, do you know what is meant by a dreamer?
A dreamer. Indeed, I should think I do know. I am a dreamer myself. Sometimes, as I sit by grandmother, all sorts of things come into my head. Why, when one begins dreaming, one lets one's fancy run away with one. Why, I marry a Chinese prince.
If you have been married to a Chinese emperor, you will quite understand me. Come, listen. But 1 minute, I don't know your name yet.
My name is Nastenka.
Nastenka. And nothing else?
My name is nothing else. Why, is not that enough for you, you insatiable person?
Not enough. On the contrary, it's a great deal, a very great deal, Nastenka. You kind girl, if you are Nastenka for me from the first.
Quite so. Well?
Well, listen, Nastenka, now for this absurd history. I sat down beside her, assumed a pedantically serious attitude, and began as though reading from a manuscript. There are, Nastenka, though you may not know it, strange nooks in Petersburg. It seems as though the same sun as shines for all Petersburg people does not peep into those spots, but some other, different, new one, bespoken expressly for those nooks, and it throws a different light on everything. In these corners, dear Nastenka, quite a different life is lived, quite unlike the life that is surging round us, but such as perhaps exists in some unknown realm, not among us in our serious, over-serious time. Well, that life is a mixture of something purely fantastic, fervently ideal, with something, alas, Nastenka, dingily prosaic and ordinary, not to say incredibly vulgar.
Phew, good heavens, what a preface! What do I hear?
Listen, Nastenka. It seems to me I shall never be tired of calling you Nastenka. Let me tell you that in these corners live strange people, dreamers. The dreamer, if you want an exact definition, is not a human being, but a creature of an intermediate sort. For the most part, he settles in some inaccessible corner, as though hiding from the light of day. Once he slips into his corner, he grows to it like a snail. Or, anyway, he is in that respect very much like that remarkable creature. Who in that respect is very much like that remarkable creature, which is an animal and a house both at once, and is called a tortoise. Why do you suppose he is so fond of his four walls, which are invariably painted green, grimy, dismal, and reeking unpardonably of tobacco smoke? Why is it that when this absurd gentleman is visited by one of his few acquaintances, and he ends by getting rid of all his friends, why does this absurd person meet him with such embarrassment, changing countenance, and overcome with confusion, as though he had only just committed some crime within his four walls, as though he had been forging counterfeit notes, or as though he were writing verses to be sent to a journal with an anonymous letter, in which he states that the real poet is dead, and that his friend thinks it his sacred duty to publish his things? Why, tell me, Nastenka, why is it conversation is not easy between the two friends? Why is there no laughter? Why does no lively word fly from the tongue of the perplexed newcomer, who at other times may be very fond of laughter, lively words, conversation about the fair sex, and other cheerful subjects? And why does this friend, probably a new friend and on his first visit, for there will hardly be a second, why is the friend himself so confused, so tongue-tied, in spite of his wit, if he has any, as he looks at the downcast face of his host, who in his turn becomes utterly helpless and at his wit's end after gigantic but fruitless efforts to smooth things over and enliven the conversation, to show his knowledge of polite society, to talk too of the fair sex, and by such humble endeavor to please the poor man, who, like a fish out of water, has mistakenly come to visit him? Why does the gentleman, all at once remembering some very necessary business which never existed, suddenly seize his hat and hurriedly make off, snatching away his hand from the warm grip of his host, who was trying his utmost to show his regret and retrieve the lost position? Why does the friend chuckle as he goes out of the door and swear never to come and see this queer creature again, though the queer creature is really a very good fellow? And at the same time, he cannot refuse his imagination the little diversion of comparing the queer fellow's countenance during their conversation with the expression of an unhappy kitten, treacherously captured, roughly handled, frightened, and subjected to all sorts of indignities by children, till, utterly crestfallen, it hides away from them under a chair in the dark, and there must needs at its leisure bristle up, spit, and wash its insulted face with both paws, and long afterwards look angrily at life and nature, and even at the bits saved from the master's dinner for it by the sympathetic housekeeper.
Nastenka had listened to me all the time in amazement, opening her eyes and her little mouth. Doubtless.
Listen, I don't know in the least why it happened or why you ask me such absurd questions. All I know is that this adventure must have happened word for word to you.
Doubtless.
Well, since there is no doubt about it, go on. Because I want very much to know how it will end.
You want to know, Nastenka, what our hero, that is, I, for the hero of the whole business was my humble self, did in his corner? You want to know why I lost my head and was upset for the whole day by the unexpected visit of a friend? You want to know why I was so startled? Why I blushed when the door of my room was opened? Why I was not able to entertain my visitor? And why I was crushed under the weight of my own hospitality?
Yes, that's the point. Listen, you describe it all splendidly, but couldn't you perhaps describe it a little less splendidly? You talk as though you were reading it out of a book.
Nastenka, dear Nastenka, I know I describe splendidly, but excuse me, I don't know how else to do it. At this moment, dear Nastenka, at this moment I am like the spirit of King Solomon, when, after lying 1,000 years under 7 seals in his urn, those 7 seals were at last taken off. At this moment, Nastenka, when we have met at last after such a long separation, for I have known you for ages, Nastenka, because I have been looking for someone for ages, and that is a sign that it was you I was looking for, and it was ordained that we should meet now. At this moment, 1,000 valves have opened in my head, and I must let myself flow in a river of words, or I shall choke. And so I beg you not to interrupt me, Nastenka, but listen humbly and obediently, or I will be silent.
No, not at all. Go on, I won't say a word.
I will continue. There is, my friend Nastenka, 1 hour in my day which I like extremely. That is the hour when almost all business, work, and duties are over, and everyone is hurrying home to dinner, to lie down, to rest. And on the way, all are cogitating on other more cheerful subjects relating to their evenings, their nights, and all the rest of their free time. At that hour, our hero, for allow me, Nastenka, to tell my story in the third person, for one feels awfully ashamed to tell it in the first person. And so, at that hour, our hero, who had his work too, was pacing along after the others. But a strange feeling of pleasure set his pale, rather crumpled-looking face working. He looked not with indifference on the evening glow, which was slowly fading on the cold Petersburg sky. When I say he looked, I am lying. He did not look at it, but saw it, as it were, without realizing, as though tired or preoccupied with some other more interesting subject, so that he could scarcely spare a glance for anything about him. He was pleased because till next day he was released from business irksome to him, and happy as a schoolboy let out from the classroom to his games and mischief. Take a look at him, Nastenka.
you will see at once that joyful emotion has already had an effect on his weak nerves and morbidly excited fancy. You see, he is thinking of something. Of dinner, do you imagine? Of the evening? What is he looking at like that? Is it at that gentleman of dignified appearance who is bowing so picturesquely to the lady who rolls by in a carriage drawn by prancing horses? No, Nastenka, what are all those trivialities to him now? He is rich now with his own individual life. He has suddenly become rich, and it is not for nothing that the fading sunset sheds its farewell gleam so gaily before him, and calls forth a swarm of impressions from his warmed heart. Now he hardly notices the road, on which the tiniest details at other times would strike him. Now the goddess of fancy, if you have read Zhukovsky, dear Nastenka, has already with fantastic hand spun her golden warp and begun weaving upon it patterns of marvelous magic life. And who knows, maybe her fantastic hand has borne him to the seventh crystal heaven, far from the excellent granite pavement on which he was walking his way. Try stopping him now. Ask him suddenly where he is standing now, through what streets he is going. He will probably remember nothing, neither where he is going nor where he is standing now. And flushing with vexation, he will certainly tell some lie to save appearances. That is why he starts, almost cries out, and looks round with horror when a respectable old lady stops him politely in the middle of the pavement and asks her way. Frowning with vexation, he strides on, scarcely noticing that more than one passer-by smiles and turns round to look after him, and that a little girl, moving out of his way in alarm, laughs aloud, gazing open-eyed at his broad meditative smile and gesticulations. But fancy catches up in its playful flight the old woman, the curious passers-by, and the laughing child, and the peasants spending their nights in their barges on Fontanka. Our hero, let us suppose, is walking along the canal side at that moment, and capriciously weaves every one and everything into the canvas like a fly in a spider's web. And it is only after the queer fellow has returned to his comfortable den, with fresh stores for his mind to work on, has sat down and finished his dinner, that he comes to himself, when Matrona, who waits upon him, always thoughtful and depressed, clears the table and gives him his pipe. He comes to himself then and recalls with surprise that he has dined, though he has absolutely no notion how it has happened. It has grown dark in the room. His soul is sad and empty. The whole kingdom of fancies drops to pieces about him, drops to pieces without a trace, without a sound, floats away like a dream, and he cannot himself remember what he was dreaming. But a vague sensation faintly stirs his heart and sets it aching. Some new desire temptingly tickles and excites his fancy, and imperceptibly evokes a swarm of fresh phantoms. Stillness reigns in the little room. Imagination is fostered by solitude and idleness. It is faintly smoldering, faintly simmering, like the water with which old Matrona is making her coffee, as she moves quietly about in the kitchen close by. Now it breaks out spasmodically, and the book, picked up aimlessly and at random, drops from my dreamer's hand before he has reached the third page. His imagination is again stirred and at work, and again a new world, a new fascinating life opens vistas before him. A fresh dream, fresh happiness, a fresh rush of delicate, voluptuous poison. What is real life to him? To his corrupted eyes, we live, you and I, Nastenka, so torpidly, slowly, insipidly. In his eyes, we are all so dissatisfied with our fate, so exhausted by our life. And truly, see how at first sight everything is cold, morose, as though ill-humored among us. Poor things, thinks our dreamer. And it is no wonder that he thinks it. Look at these magic phantasms, which so enchantingly, so whimsically, so carelessly and freely group before him in such a magic animated picture, in which the most prominent figure in the foreground is, of course, himself, our dreamer, in his precious person. See what varied adventures, what an endless swarm of ecstatic dreams. You ask, perhaps, what he is dreaming of? Why ask that? Why, of everything. Of the lot of the poet, first unrecognized, then crowned with laurels. Of friendship with Hoffman. Of St. Bartholomew's Night. Of Diana Vernon. Of playing the hero at the taking of Kazan by Ivan Vasilievich. Of Clara Mowbray. Of Effie Deans. Of the council of the prelates and Huss before them. Of the rising of the dead in Robert the Devil. Do you remember the music? It smells of the churchyard. Of Minna and Brenda. Of the Battle of Berezina. Of the reading of a poem at Countess V. D's. Of Danton. Of Cleopatra e suoi amanti. Of a little house in Columna. Of a little home of one's own. And beside one, a dear creature who listens to one on a winter's evening, opening her little mouth and eyes as you are listening to me now, my angel. No, Nastenka, what is there for him, voluptuous sluggard, in this life for which you and I have such a longing? He thinks that this is a poor, pitiful life, not foreseeing that for him too, maybe, sometime, the mournful hour may strike, when for one day of that pitiful life he would give all his years of fantasy, and would give them not only for joy and for happiness, but without caring to make distinctions, in that hour of sadness, remorse, and unchecked grief. But so far, that threatening has not arrived. He desires nothing, because he is superior to all desire, because he has everything, because he is satiated, because he is the artist of his own life, and creates it for himself every hour to suit his latest whim. And you know, this fantastic world of fairyland is so easily, so naturally created, as though it were not a delusion. Indeed, he is ready to believe at some moments that all this life is not suggested by feeling, is not mirage, not a delusion of the imagination, but that it is concrete, real, substantial. Why is it, Nastenka? Why is it at such moments one holds one's breath?
Why? By what sorcery, through what incomprehensible caprice is the pulse quickened? Does a tear start from the dreamer's eye, while his pale, moist cheeks glow, while his whole being is suffused with an inexpressible sense of consolation? Why is it that whole sleepless nights pass like a flash in inexhaustible gladness and happiness? And when the dawn gleams rosy at the window, and daybreak floods the gloomy room with uncertain, fantastic light, as in Petersburg, our dreamer, worn out and exhausted, flings himself on his bed and drops asleep with thrills of delight in his morbidly overwrought spirit, and with a weary, sweet ache in his heart. Yes, Nastenka, one deceives oneself and unconsciously believes that real, true passion is stirring one's soul. One unconsciously believes that there is something living, tangible in one's immaterial dreams. And is it delusion? Here, love, for instance, is bound up with all its fathomless joy, all its torturing agonies in his bosom. Only look at him, and you will be convinced. Would you believe, looking at him, dear Nastenka, that he has never known her, whom he loves in his ecstatic dreams? Can it be that he has only seen her in seductive visions, and that this passion has been nothing but a dream? Surely they must have spent years hand in hand together, alone, the two of them, casting off all the world, and each uniting his or her life with the other's. Surely when the hour of parting came, she must have lain sobbing and grieving on his bosom, heedless of the tempest raging under the sullen sky, heedless of the wind which snatches and bears away the tears from her black eyelashes. Can all of that have been a dream? And that garden, dejected, forsaken, run wild, with its little moss-grown paths, solitary, gloomy, where they used to walk so happily together, where they hoped, grieved, loved each other so long and so fondly. And that queer ancestral house where she spent so many years lonely and sad, with her morose old husband, always silent and splenetic, who frightened them, while timid as children they hid their love from each other? Dreamer, with increasing intensity, passionate and dreamy. What torments they suffered, what agonies of terror! How innocent, how pure was their love, and how, I need hardly say, Nastenka, malicious people were. And, good heavens, surely he met her afterwards, far from their native shores, under alien skies, in the hot south, in the divinely eternal city, in the dazzling splendor of the ball, to the crash of music, in a palazzo, it must be in a palazzo, drowned in a sea of lights, on the balcony wreathed in myrtle and roses, where, recognizing him, she hurriedly removes her mask and, whispering, "I am free," flings herself trembling into his arms. And with a cry of rapture, clinging to one another, in one instant they forget their sorrow and their parting and all their agonies, and the gloomy house, and the old man, and the dismal garden in that distant land, and the seat on which, with a last passionate kiss, she tore herself away from his arms, numb with anguish and despair.
Oh, Nastenka, you must admit that one would start, betray confusion, and blush like a schoolboy who has just stuffed in his pocket an apple stolen from a neighbor's garden, when your uninvited visitor, some stalwart, lanky fellow, a festive soul fond of a joke, opens your door and shouts out as though nothing were happening, "My dear boy, I have this minute come from Pavlovsk. My goodness, the old count is dead. Unutterable happiness is close at hand, and people arrive from Pavlovsk?" Finishing my pathetic appeal, I paused pathetically. I remembered that I had an intense desire to force myself to laugh, for I was already feeling that a malignant demon was stirring within me, that there was a lump in my throat, that my chin was beginning to twitch, and that my eyes were growing more and more moist. I expected Nastenka, who listened to me, opening her clever eyes, would break into her childish, irrepressible laugh, and I was already regretting that I had gone so far, that I had unnecessarily described what had long been simmering in my heart, about which I could speak as though from a written account of it, because I had long ago passed judgment on myself, and now could not resist reading it, making my confession, without expecting to be understood. But to my surprise, she was silent. Waiting a little, she faintly pressed my hand, and with timid sympathy asked,
Surely you haven't lived like that all your life.
"All my life, Nastenka, all my life, and it seems to me I shall go on so to the end."
No, that won't do. That must not be. And so, maybe, I shall spend all my life beside grandmother. Do you know, it is not at all good to live like that?
"I know, Nastenka, I know," I cried, unable to restrain my feelings longer. "And I realize now more than ever that I have lost all my best years. And now I know it, and feel it more painfully from recognizing that God has sent me you, my good angel, to tell me that and show it. Now that I sit beside you and talk to you, it is strange for me to think of the future. For in the future there is loneliness again this musty, useless life. And what shall I have to dream of when I have been so happy in reality beside you? Oh, may you be blessed, dear girl, for not having repulsed me at first, for enabling me to say that for 2 evenings at least I have lived."
Oh no, no,
cried Nastenka, and tears glistened in her eyes.
no, it mustn't be so anymore. We must not part like that. What are 2 evenings?
Oh, Nastenka, Nastenka, do you know how far you have reconciled me to myself? Do you know now that I shall not think so ill of myself as I have at some moments? Do you know that maybe I shall leave off grieving over the crime and sin of my life? For such a life is a crime and a sin. And do not imagine that I have been exaggerating anything. For goodness sake, don't think that, Nastenka. For at times, such misery comes over me. Such misery. Because it begins to seem to me at such times that I am incapable of beginning a life in real life. Because it has seemed to me that I have lost all touch, all instinct for the actual, the real. Because at last, I have cursed myself. Because after my fantastic nights, I have moments of returning sobriety, which are awful. Meanwhile, you hear the whirl and roar of the crowd in the vortex of life around you. You hear, you see men living in reality. You see that life for them is not forbidden, that their life does not float away like a dream, like a vision, that their life is being eternally renewed, eternally youthful, and not 1 hour of it is the same as another. While fancy is so spiritless, monotonous to vulgarity, and easily scared. The slave of shadows, of the idea, the slave of the first cloud that shrouds the sun, and overcast with depression the true Petersburg heart, so devoted to the sun. And what is fancy in depression? One feels that this inexhaustible fancy is weary at last, and worn out with continual exercise. Because one is growing into manhood, outgrowing one's old ideals, they are being shattered into fragments, into dust.
If there is no other life, one must build one up from the fragments. And meanwhile, the soul longs and craves for something else. And in vain the dreamer rakes over his old dreams, as though seeking a spark among the embers, to fan them into flame, to warm his chilled heart by the rekindled fire, and to rouse up in it again all that was so sweet, that touched his heart, that set his blood boiling, drew tears from his eyes, and so luxuriously deceived him. Do you know, Nastenka, the point I have reached? Do you know that I am forced now to celebrate the anniversary of my own sensations? The anniversary of that which once was so sweet, which never existed in reality. For this anniversary is kept in memory of those same foolish, shadowy dreams. And to do this because those foolish dreams are no more, because I have nothing to earn them with. You know, even dreams do not come for nothing. Do you know that I love now to recall and visit, at certain dates, the places where I was once happy in my own way? I love to build up my present in harmony with the irrevocable past. And I often wander like a shadow, aimless, sad, and dejected, about the streets and crooked lanes of Petersburg. What memories they are! To remember, for instance, that here, just a year ago, just at this time, at this hour, on this pavement, I wandered just as lonely, just as dejected as today. And one remembers that then one's dreams were sad, and though the past was no better, one feels as though it had somehow been better, and that life was more peaceful, that one was free from the black thoughts that haunt one now. That one was free from the gnawing of conscience, the gloomy, sullen gnawing which now gives me no rest by day or by night. And one asks oneself, where are one's dreams? And one shakes one's head and says, how rapidly the years fly by. And again one asks oneself, what has one done with one's years? Where have you buried your best days? Have you lived or not? Look, one says to oneself, look how cold the world is growing. Some more years will pass,
and after them will come gloomy solitude. Then will come old age, trembling on its crutch, and after it, misery and desolation. Your fantastic world will grow pale, your dreams will fade and die, and will fall like the yellow leaves from the trees. Oh, Nastenka, you know, it will be sad to be left alone, utterly alone, and to have not even anything to regret, nothing, absolutely nothing. For all that you have lost, all was nothing. Stupid, simple nullity. There has been nothing but dreams.
Come, don't work on my feelings anymore.
She wiped away a tear which was trickling down her cheek.
Now it's over. Now we shall be two together. Now, whatever happens to me, we will never part. Listen, I am a simple girl. I have not had much education, though grandmother did get a teacher for me. But truly, I understand you. For all that you have described, I have been through myself when grandmother pinned me to her dress. Of course, I should not have described it so well as you have. I am not educated.
She added timidly, for she was still feeling a sort of respect for my pathetic eloquence and lofty style.
But I am very glad that you have been quite open with me. Now I know you thoroughly, all of you. And do you know what? I want to tell you my history too, all without concealment. And after that, you must give me advice. You are a very clever man. Will you promise to give me advice?
Ah, Nastenka, though I have never given advice, still less sensible advice, yet I see now that if we always go on like this, it will be very sensible, and that each of us will give the other a great deal of sensible advice. Well, my pretty Nastenka, what sort of advice do you want? Tell me frankly. At this moment, I am so gay and happy, so bold and sensible, that it won't be difficult for me to find words.
No, I don't only want sensible advice. I want warm, brotherly advice, as though you had been fond of me all your life.
Agreed, Nastenka, agreed. And if I had been fond of you for 20 years, I couldn't have been fonder of you than I am now.
Your hand.
Here it is. I gave her my hand.
And so, let us begin my history.
Tonight, she opens up at last. This is Nastenka's history, the past she never told.
Half her story I already knew. That is, she said, you know that I have an old grandmother. If the other half is as brief as that.
Be quiet and listen. First of all, you must agree not to interrupt me, or else I'll get in a muddle. Come, listen quietly. I have an old grandmother. I came into her hands when I was quite a little girl, for my father and mother are dead. It must be supposed that grandmother was once richer, for now she only recalls better days. She taught me French herself, and then got a teacher for me. When I was 15, and now I am 17, we gave up the lessons.
Her voice carried a kind of resigned fondness, and she kept her eyes on the dark, rippling water.
It was then that I got into mischief. What I did, I won't tell you. It wasn't very important. But grandmother called me to her one morning and said, "As I am blind, I cannot look after you properly." She took a pin and pinned my dress to hers, saying we should sit like that for the rest of our lives, if, of course, I didn't become a better girl. At first, it was impossible to get away from her. I had to work, to read, to study, all right there beside grandmother. Once, I tried to deceive her.
Her tone grew more mischievous now, almost proud of her small rebellion.
I persuaded Fekla, our charwoman, she's deaf, to sit in my place. Grandmother was asleep in her armchair, and I slipped out to visit a friend nearby. Well, it ended in trouble. Grandmother woke while I was gone and asked some questions. She thought I was still there. But poor Fekla, she saw grandmother was speaking, but couldn't tell what she wanted. So she panicked, undid the pin, and ran away.
At that point, Nastenka broke into laughter. I couldn't help but laugh with her, but she stopped quickly and grew serious.
I tell you what, don't laugh at grandmother. I laugh because it's funny, but I am fond of her, you know, in my own way. Oh, I did catch it that time. I had to sit back down immediately, and after that, I wasn't allowed to stir. Oh, I forgot to tell you, our house belongs to grandmother. It's a little wooden house with 3 windows, almost as old as grandmother herself. It even has a little upper story. Well, we had a new lodger move in up there.
Then you had an old lodger before?
Yes, of course, and one who knew how to hold his tongue better than you do. In fact, he hardly ever used his tongue at all. He was dumb, blind, lame, a dried-up little old man, and eventually, he just couldn't go on living. He died. So we needed a new lodger. We couldn't live without one. The rent, along with grandmother's pension, is almost all we have. But the new lodger, as luck would have it, he was a young man, a stranger, not from these parts. He didn't haggle over the rent, so grandmother accepted him. Only afterward she asked me,
Tell me, Nastenka, what is our lodger like? Is he young or old?
I didn't want to lie, so I told grandmother he wasn't exactly young, and he wasn't exactly old.
She paused there. Something in her tone had shifted, almost imperceptibly. The story had only just begun.
And is he pleasant looking?
I didn't want to tell a lie. Yes, he is pleasant looking, grandmother, I said, and grandmother cried.
Oh, what a nuisance! What a nuisance! I tell you this, grandchild, that you are not to be looking after him. What times these are! Why, a paltry lodger like this, and he must be pleasant looking too. It was very different in the old days.
Grandmother was always regretting the old days. She was younger in the old days. The sun was warmer in the old days. And cream didn't turn sour so quickly in the old days. It was always the old days.
I would sit still and hold my tongue, just thinking, why did grandmother even suggest it to me? Why ask if he was young and good-looking? But that was all I did, just thought it. Then I counted my stitches again, went on knitting my stocking, and forgot all about it. Well, one morning, the lodger came in to see us. He asked about a promise to paper his rooms. One thing led to another. Grandmother was in a talkative mood and said,
Go, Nastenka, into my bedroom and bring me my reckoner.
I jumped up at once. I blushed all over, I don't know why, and I forgot I was still pinned to grandmother. Instead of quietly undoing the pin so the lodger wouldn't notice, I jumped so hard that grandmother's chair moved. When I realized that he now knew all about me, I blushed so deeply, stood still like I'd been shot, and suddenly I began to cry. I felt so ashamed, so miserable. I didn't know where to look. Grandmother called out,
What are you waiting for?
but I just stood there, crying even worse. And when the lodger saw it, when he saw that I was ashamed on his account, he bowed and quietly went away.
A silence followed. The moment had clearly stayed with her, fresh even now.
After that, I felt ready to die at the least sound in the passage. It's the lodger, I kept thinking, and I would stealthily undo the pin, just in case. But it was never him. He never came.
A fortnight passed.
Then, the lodger sent word through Fyokla. He said he had a great number of French books, and that they were all good books, books I might enjoy reading. Would grandmother let me read them, so I wouldn't be dull? Grandmother agreed, gratefully, but she kept asking,
Are they moral books? Because if the books are immoral, that would be out of the question. One would learn evil from them.
Nastenka smiled too, but with a little sigh. The story clearly had more to come.
And what should I learn, grandmother? What is there written in them? Ah, she said,
What's described in them is how young men seduce virtuous girls, how, on the excuse that they want to marry them, they carry them off from their parents' houses, and then leave these unhappy girls to their fate, and they perish in the most pitiful way. I've read a great many books, and it's all so well described that one sits up all night and reads them on the sly. So mind you, don't read them, Nastenka. What books has he sent? They are all Walter Scott's novels, grandmother. Walter Scott's novels? But stay, isn't there some trick about it? Look, hasn't he stuck a love letter among them?
No, grandmother, there isn't a love letter.
But look under the binding. They sometimes stuff it under the bindings, the rascals.
No, grandmother, there is nothing under the binding.
Well, that's all right then.
So they began reading Walter Scott. In a month, they had read almost half. Then he sent them more and more.
He even sent us Pushkin. And at last, I couldn't get on without a book. I left off dreaming of how fine it would be to marry a Chinese prince.
That's how things stood, until one day she chanced to meet the lodger on the stairs.
Grandmother had sent me to fetch something. He stopped. I blushed, and he blushed too. But he laughed a little, said good morning, asked after grandmother, and said,
Well, have you read the books?
I have.
Which did you like best?
Ivanhoe and Pushkin, best of all.
And so, their talk ended for that time.
A week later, I met him again on the stairs. That time, grandmother hadn't sent me. I wanted to get something for myself. It was past 2. He used to come home at that time.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Aren't you dull sitting all day with your grandmother?
When he asked that, I blushed. I don't know why, but I felt ashamed. And again, I felt offended. I suppose it was because others had started asking the same thing. I wanted to go away without answering, but I hadn't the strength.
Listen, you are a good girl. Excuse my speaking to you like that, but I assure you, I wish for your welfare as much as your grandmother does. Have you no friends you could go and visit?
I told him I hadn't any, that I had had no friend but Mashenta, and she had gone away to Pskov.
Listen, would you like to go to the theater with me?
To the theater? But what about grandmother?
But you must go without your grandmother's knowing it.
No, I don't want to deceive grandmother. Goodbye.
Well, goodbye.
And he said nothing more.
Only after dinner he came to see us. He sat a long time talking to grandmother, asked her whether she ever went out anywhere, whether she had acquaintances, and then suddenly he said,
I have taken a box at the opera for this evening. They're giving The Barber of Seville. My friends meant to go, but afterwards refused, so the ticket is left on my hands.
The Barber of Seville. Why, the same they used to act in the old days?
Yes, it's the same barber.
and he glanced at me. I saw what it meant and turned crimson.
To be sure, I know it. Why, I took the part of Rosina myself in the old days at a private performance.
So, wouldn't you like to go today, or my ticket will be wasted?
By all means, let us go. Why shouldn't we? And my Nastenka here, she's never been to the theater.
My goodness, what joy! We got ready at once, put on our best clothes, and set off. Even though grandmother was blind, she still wanted to hear the music. But mostly, it was for me. She is a kind old soul, and what she cared most for was to amuse me. We should never have gone on our own.
What her impressions were of the Barber of Seville, she wouldn't say. But all that evening the lodger looked at her so kindly, talked so gently, that she saw he had only tested her that morning when he asked her to go alone.
Well, it was joy. I went to bed so proud, so gay. My heart beat so fast, I was a little feverish. And all night I was raving about the barber of Seville.
She expected he would visit more after that, but it wasn't so at all.
He almost entirely gave up coming. Just once a month, and only to invite us to the theater. We went twice again, but I wasn't at all pleased with that. I saw then, he was simply sorry for me, because I was so hardly treated by grandmother, and that was all.
As time went on, she grew more and more restless. She couldn't sit still, couldn't read, couldn't work.
Sometimes I laughed and did something just to annoy grandmother. Other times, I cried, I grew thin, and was very nearly ill.
The opera season ended, and the lodger stopped coming altogether. Whenever they met, always on the same staircase, he would bow silently, gravely, as though he didn't want to speak, and he would go down to the front door, while
I would stand right there in the middle of the stairs, as red as a cherry, for all the blood had rushed to my head just at the sight of him. Now the end is near. Just a year ago, in May, the lodger came to us and told grandmother that he had finished his business here and that he must go back to Moscow for a year. When I heard that, I sank into a chair, half dead. Grandmother didn't notice anything, and after he had informed us, he bowed and went away.
What was I to do? She said. She thought and thought, fretted and fretted, until finally she made up her mind.
Next day, he was to go away, and I decided I would end it all that evening after grandmother went to bed. And so it happened. I packed all my clothes into a parcel, just the linen I needed, and with that parcel in my hand, more dead than alive, I went upstairs to our lodger.
She believes she must have stood an hour on the staircase when she opened the door.
He cried out when he saw me. He thought I was a ghost. He rushed to get me water, for I could hardly stand. My heart beat so violently, my head ached. I didn't know what I was doing.
When she recovered, she laid her parcel on his bed, sat beside it, hid her face in her hands, and wept in torrents.
I think he understood it all at once. He looked at me so sadly. My heart felt torn.
Listen, Nastenka, I can't do anything. I am a poor man. I have nothing, not even a decent post. How could we live if I were to marry you?
They talked for a long time, but at last she grew frantic.
I said I couldn't go on living with grandmother, that I would run away, that I didn't want to be pinned to her anymore, that I would go to Moscow if he wanted, because I could not live without him. Shame, pride, love, they were all shouting in me at once, and I fell on the bed, almost in convulsions. I was terrified of being refused.
He sat still for some minutes. Then he rose. He came to her, took her hand in his.
Listen, my dear good Nastenka, listen. I swear to you that if I am ever in a position to marry, you shall make my happiness. I assure you, now, you are the only one who could make me happy. Listen, I'm going to Moscow. I'll be there just a year. I hope to establish myself, and when I come back, if you still love me, I swear we will be happy. Now it is impossible. I cannot do it. I have no right to promise anything now. Well, I repeat, if it's not within a year, it will be sometime. That is, of course, if you do not prefer someone else, for I cannot and dare not bind you with any promise.
That was what he said to me, and the next day he went away.
They had agreed to tell grandmother nothing. That had been his wish.
Well, my story is nearly finished now. Just a year has passed. He has arrived. He has been here 3 days, and...
And what? I cried, impatient to hear the end.
And up to now, he has not shown himself. There's been no sign, no sound of him.
She said it steadily, but her hands trembled. Here, she stopped. She paused for a minute, then bent her head, and covering her face with her hands, she broke into such sobs that it sent a pang straight to my heart. I had not in the least expected such a denouement. Nastenka, Nastenka, for goodness sake, don't cry. How do you know? Perhaps he's not here yet.
He is. He's here, and I know it. We made an agreement that evening before he went away. We said everything I've told you, and then we came out here for a walk on this very embankment. It was 10 o'clock. We sat right here on this seat. I wasn't crying then. It was sweet to hear what he said.
Her voice broke again, but she continued.
He said that he would come to us the moment he arrived, and if I didn't refuse him, then we would tell grandmother everything. Now he's here. I know it. And yet he does not come.
And again she burst into tears. Good God, can I do nothing to help you in your sorrow? Tell me, Nastenka, wouldn't it be possible for me to go to him?
Would that be possible?
No, of course not. But I tell you what, write him a letter.
No, that's impossible. I can't do that.
How impossible? Why is it impossible? Nastenka, it depends on what sort of letter. There are letters and letters. Ah, Nastenka, I'm right. Trust me. Trust me. I won't give you bad advice. It can all be arranged. You took the first step. Why not now?
I can't. It would seem as though I were forcing myself on him.
Ah, my good little Nastenka, no, you have a right to, because he made you a promise, and I can see from everything that he's a man of delicate feeling. He behaved very well. How did he behave? He bound himself by a promise. He said that if he were ever to marry, he would marry no one but you. He gave you full liberty to refuse him. Under such circumstances, you may take the first step. You are in the privileged position. If, for instance, you wanted to free him from his promise...
Listen, how would you write?
Write what?
This letter.
I tell you how I would write. Dear Sir.
Must I really begin like that? Dear Sir?
You certainly must. Though, after all, I don't know. I imagine...
Well, what next?
Dear Sir, I must apologize for... But no, there's no need to apologize. The fact itself justifies everything. And so their hearts stirred with a plan. There, beside the canal, the tears had not dried, but the silence was broken by something else. A chance. Write simply. I am writing to you. Forgive me my impatience, but I have been happy for a whole year in hope. Am I to blame for being unable to endure a day of doubt now? Now that you have come, perhaps you have changed your mind. If so, this letter is to tell you that I do not repine, nor blame you. I do not blame you, because I have no power over your heart. Such is my fate. You are an honorable man. You will not smile or be vexed at these impatient lines. Remember, they are written by a poor girl, that she is alone, that she has no one to direct her, no one to advise her, and that she herself could never control her heart. But forgive me that a doubt has stolen, if only for one instant, into my heart. You are not capable of insulting, even in thought, her who so loved and so loves you.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, you have solved my difficulties. God has sent you to me. Thank you.
What for? What for God's sending me?
Why, yes, for that too.
Ah, Nastenka, Why? One thanks some people just for being alive at the same time as oneself. But I thank you for having met me, for my being able to remember you all my life.
Well, enough, enough. But now I tell you what, listen. We made an agreement that as soon as he arrived, he would let me know by leaving a letter with some good, simple people of my acquaintance, people who know nothing about any of this. Or, if it were impossible to write a letter, for a letter does not always tell everything, he would be here at 10 o'clock on the day he arrived, where we had arranged to meet. I know he has arrived already, but now it's the third day, and there's no sign of him, and no letter. It's impossible for me to get away from grandmother in the morning, so give my letter tomorrow to those kind people I spoke to you about. They will send it on to him, and if there is an answer, you bring it tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
And so, hope moved forward by a thread. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, everything could change. But the letter! You see, you must write the letter first. So, perhaps it must all be the day after tomorrow.
The letter, that...
But she did not finish. At first, she turned her little face away from me, flushed like a rose, and suddenly, I felt in my hand a letter, already written, sealed, clearly prepared long before. R-O, row, S-I-C, N-I, na, Rosina. We both hummed it together, I almost embracing her in my delight, while she blushed as only she could blush, and laughed through the tears that gleamed like pearls on her black eyelashes.
Come, enough. Goodbye now. Here is the letter. Here is the address to which you are to take it. Goodbye, till we meet again, till tomorrow.
She pressed both my hands warmly, nodded her head, and flew like an arrow down her side street. I stood still for a long time, following her with my eyes. Till tomorrow was still ringing in my ears as she vanished from my sight.
The fourth night, a day of rain, a night of revelation. You're listening on RustBooks. Today was a gloomy, rainy day, without a glimmer of sunlight, like the old age that stretches silently before me. I am oppressed by such strange thoughts, such gloomy sensations. Questions I still cannot answer are crowding into my brain, and I feel as though I lack the strength, the will, to settle them. No, it's not for me to settle all this. I thought she wouldn't notice today's rain. I thought she would come, but she hasn't. Yesterday was our third interview, our third white night. Ah, how joy transforms the heart, how it overflows, longing to be poured out, to make everything laugh, to make everything shine. Her words had such softness, her heart kind and tender. She gave me courage, gently, sweetly. And in her joy there was that coquetry, the graceful mischief of someone made happy by love. And I believed it. I thought, God help me, I thought it was all meant for me. But how? How could I have thought that, when all had been given to another, when nothing was mine, not even her tenderness, not even her concern. Her love, yes, even that, was only a reflection, an echo of her happiness with him. And I was included in it only because he was not there. When he didn't come, when they waited in vain, she frowned. She grew timid, discouraged. Her words lost their lightness. Her smile faded. And, strangely, she turned her tenderness toward me again, as if to give away what she had prepared, but could not deliver. Today we will not meet.
Yesterday, as we parted, the sky darkened. A mist began to rise. I said, "Tomorrow it will rain." She didn't answer. She didn't want to say anything against her hopes. For her, the sky was clear. No clouds could darken her happiness. "If it rains, we shall not see each other," she said. "I shall not come." She said it with such anxious certainty, as though saying it could prevent the rain itself. And today, she did not come. My Nastenka. She was so downcast, so dismayed. She must have known, she must have seen, at last, that I loved her. And she was sorry. So it is. When we are unhappy, we feel the sorrow of others more. Feeling does not disappear, it only deepens. It becomes concentrated. I went to meet her with a full heart, impatient, hopeful, never suspecting I would return feeling this way. I believed, truly believed, it would end happily.
All day I waited. I wandered the streets, impatient, hopeful, never suspecting it would end like this. I believed, truly believed, it would be our night. And then, at last, I saw her again. She was beaming with pleasure. She was waiting, not for me. She was expecting him. He was to come, to run at her call. She arrived a full hour before I did. She laughed at everything, giggled at every word I spoke, as though joy itself made her lighter than air.
How disinterested you are. How truly you care for me. When I'm married, we'll be great friends, more than brother and sister. I shall care for you almost as I do for him.
Something like laughter stirred in my soul, but it wasn't joy. You're upset. You're frightened. You think he won't come.
Oh dear, if I were less happy, I believe I'd cry at your lack of faith, at your reproaches. But you've made me think. I'll admit it, I am not quite myself today. Everything feels too light, too unreal. But hush, enough about feelings.
At that moment, we heard footsteps. A shadow moved toward us in the dark. We both started. She nearly cried out. I dropped her hand, stepping back. But we were mistaken. It was not him.
What are you afraid of? Why did you let go of my hand? Come now, what is it? We will meet him together. I want him to see how fond we are of each other.
How fond we are of each other. Oh, Nastenka, Nastenka, you don't know what you've just said. You've told me everything. Such fondness. It speaks volumes. I tried to say more, but fell silent.
Do you know why I'm so glad to look at you today? Why I like you so much?
Well, my heart began to throb.
Because you haven't fallen in love with me. You know, some men would be sighing, miserable, pestering me, but you're so nice.
Ow! She laughed again. Then a strange stillness came over her.
What a friend you are. God sent you to me. What would have happened to me if you weren't with me now?
The warmth of joy at certain moments can make the heart cold and the soul heavy. Your hand is cold. Mine burns like fire. How blind you are, Nastenka. How unbearable a happy person can be sometimes. But still, I could never be angry with you. At last, my heart was too full. Listen, Nastenka, do you know what I felt all day?
What? How? Tell me quickly. Why have you said nothing until now?
To begin with, Nastenka, I carried out all your errands, delivered the letter, visited your good friends. Then I went home and went to bed.
Is that all?
Yes, almost all. I woke up an hour before our meeting, but it was like I had never slept. Something happened to me. I came here tonight feeling
as though time had stopped, as though this one emotion, this one moment would stay with me forever, as though this minute would stretch on for all eternity, and my life had frozen in it. When I woke up, it was like hearing an old melody, one long forgotten, yet unbearably sweet, a melody that had haunted my heart all my life, and only now, at last, had returned.
Oh my goodness, my goodness! What does all that mean? I don't understand a word.
Ah, Nastenka, I just wanted to somehow convey to you that strange impression, that feeling. There was still hope in my voice, a very faint one, but hope nonetheless.
Leave off.
And in one instant, the sly little puss had guessed. Suddenly she turned talkative, extraordinarily so. Light and gay, mischievous, she took my arm, laughed again and again, and every confused word I stammered out sent her into ringing peals of laughter. And I began to feel angry.
She had begun flirting. So suddenly, so sharply, it stung.
Do you know, I feel a little vexed that you're not in love with me. There's no understanding human nature. But still, Mr. Unapproachable, you can't blame me for being so simple. I tell you everything, whatever foolish thought pops into my head.
Then the bell rang out, its slow chime drifting from a distant tower. Listen, that's 11, I believe. She suddenly stopped. The laughter died. She counted the strokes, one by one.
Yes, it's 11.
I cursed myself. I had frightened her, forced her to count, to realize my spiteful little impulse, and now I wanted nothing more than to atone for it. Nastenka, don't worry. There's so many reasons why he might not be here. Let's not jump to the worst. She wanted to believe me. Oh, how easy it was to deceive her in that moment. And truly, don't we all welcome any lie that might delay heartbreak? It's absurd to assume the worst, really. Why, he might not even have received the letter yet. You've muddled me so much tonight, Nastenka. I've lost time myself. Just think, he may not have been home. He may not even have read it. Anything could have happened. Tomorrow, first thing, I'll go find out. I'll bring word myself. There are thousands of possibilities. A shadow of excuse is enough to keep hope alive.
Yes, I didn't think of that. Of course, anything may happen.
Her tone gave no resistance, yet beneath it, a faraway note, a dissonant chord of doubt still lingered.
I'll tell you what you must do. Go as early as possible tomorrow morning, and if you hear anything, let me know at once. You know where I live, don't you?
She began repeating her address. Then, suddenly, so tender, so gentle, she seemed to listen closely to every word I said. But when I asked her something in return, she was silent. She turned away, confused. I looked into her eyes. She was crying. How can you? Oh, Nastenka, how can you? What a child you are, such childishness. Come now, come. She tried to smile, tried to steady herself, but her chin trembled and her chest still heaved with emotion.
I was thinking about you. You are so kind. I would be a stone not to feel it. Do you know what I was thinking just now? I was comparing you two. Why isn't he you? Why isn't he more like you? He isn't as good as you, though I love him more.
I made no reply. She waited, expecting something, but I had no words.
Of course, it may be that I don't understand him fully yet. You know, I was always a little afraid of him. He was always so grave, so proud. Of course I know. It's just how he seems. I know his heart is full of tenderness, more than mine even. Do you remember how he looked at me that day I came to him carrying my little bundle? But still, I respect him too much. And doesn't that mean we aren't equals?
No, Nastenka. It means you love him more than anything in the world, more than yourself.
Yes, suppose that's true. But do you know what struck me now? Not about him, but about people in general. I thought of it long ago. Tell me, why can't we all be like brothers? Why does everyone hide their heart? Even the best of men seem to keep something back. Why not just speak plainly? Say what we feel when we know it's true. As it is, everyone seems harsher than they really are, as though afraid to do injustice to their feelings by expressing them too soon.
Oh, Nastenka, what you say is true, but there are many reasons for it.
No. You, for instance, you're not like other people. I don't know how to explain what I feel, but it seems, right now, you're sacrificing something for me. Forgive me for saying so. I'm just a simple girl. I've seen so little of life. Sometimes I don't know how to say things properly.
Her voice trembled, but full of feeling. She tried to smile, but her voice quivered with something hidden.
I only wanted to say, I'm grateful. I feel it all, truly. Oh, may God give you happiness for it. What you told me before about your dreamer, that's not true anymore. Not of you. You're recovering. You're not the same man you described back then. And if you ever fall in love, God give you happiness with her. I won't wish anything for her because she'll already be happy with you. I know it. I'm a woman myself, so you must believe me when I say it.
She ceased speaking and pressed my hand warmly, quietly. I could not speak either. There was too much in my throat, too much in the silence. We sat like that for minutes.
Yes, it's clear he won't come tonight.
She raised her head. He will come tomorrow. I'm sure of it.
Yes, I see that now too. He couldn't come until tomorrow. Well, goodbye. Until tomorrow. If it rains, perhaps I won't come. But the day after, I will. I'll come for certain. Whatever happens. Be sure to be here. I want to see you. I'll tell you everything.
And then, when we parted, she gave me her hand.
We shall always be together, shan't we?
Oh, Nastenka. Nastenka, if only you knew how lonely I am now. As soon as the clock struck 9, I couldn't bear it indoors anymore. I put on my things and went out, in spite of the weather. I went to our seat, sat there alone. I walked to her street, but just 2 steps from her door, I stopped. Shame burned in me. I turned back, didn't even look at their windows. I walked home, more depressed than I had ever been before. What a damp, dreary day. If it had been clear, I'd have wandered all night. But tomorrow she will tell me everything. The letter didn't come today, but that was to be expected. They are together by now. They are together by now. My God, how it has all ended. What it has all led to. I arrived at 9 o'clock. She was already there. I saw her from a distance. She stood exactly as she had that first time, elbows resting on the railing. Right now, her gaze lost in the water. She didn't hear me approaching. Nastenka. She turned quickly, the urgency already in her eyes.
Well, make haste.
I looked at her, utterly lost.
Where is it? Have you brought the letter?
No, there is no letter. Hasn't he come to you yet? Her face went pale, fearfully pale. She looked at me for a long time, motionless. I had shattered her last hope.
Well, God be with him. God be with him. If he leaves me like that.
She lowered her eyes, tried to look at me again, but couldn't, For several minutes, she struggled with her emotions. Then, all at once, she turned away, leaned against the railing, and burst into tears. "Oh, don't cry." But when I looked at her, I couldn't go on. What could I say? There was nothing left to say.
Don't try to comfort me. Don't talk about him. Don't tell me he will come, that he hasn't cast me off so cruelly, so inhumanly. What for? Why? Was it something in my letter? That cursed, unlucky letter?
Sobs broke her voice. Her shoulders trembled. And my heart, my poor, helpless heart, was torn open watching her.
Oh, how cruel it is. Inhumanly cruel. Not a line, not one single line. He might at least have written to say he didn't want me, that he rejected me. But nothing. For 3 days. Nothing. How easy it is for him to wound, to humiliate a poor, defenseless girl whose only fault is that she loves him.
Her voice trembled like shattered glass.
Oh, what I've suffered these past 3 days. Dear God, when I think I was the one who went to him, I humbled myself. I cried in front of him.
I begged him, just a little love. And after that, listen, it isn't so. It can't be so. It isn't natural.
Her black eyes flashed with fire. She turned to me, gripping at the truth.
Either you are mistaken, or I am. Maybe he never got the letter. Maybe he still doesn't know. How could anyone... Tell me, explain it to me. How could any man behave with such barbarous coarseness? Not a word, not one word in reply. Even the lowest creature on earth is treated more kindly. Maybe someone told him something false, something about me. What do you think?
Listen, Nastenka, I'll go to him tomorrow, in your name.
Yes?
I'll speak to him. I'll ask him everything. I'll tell him everything.
Yes? Yes?
Write him a letter. Please, Nastenka, don't say no. I'll make him understand. He shall know the truth. He shall respect your heart. And if...
No, my friend, no. That's enough. Not another word. Not another letter. Enough. I don't know him anymore. I don't love him anymore. I will forget him.
She could not go on. Calm yourself. Come, Nastenka, sit here. I guided her to the bench.
I'm calm. Don't worry. It's nothing. It's only tears. They'll dry soon. What, do you think I'll throw myself into the river?
My heart was full. I tried to speak, but no words came.
Listen, tell me something. You wouldn't have done this, would you? You wouldn't have abandoned a girl who came to you of her own free will? You wouldn't have thrown it in her face, mocked her weak, foolish heart? You'd have cared for her, protected her. You'd have seen that she was alone, that she didn't know how to defend herself from loving you, that it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. She had done nothing. Oh, dear. Oh, God.
Nastenka, you torture me. You wound me. You're killing me, Nastenka. I can't stay silent. I must speak. I must tell you what's surging in my heart. I stood up, shaking, breathless. Listen to me, Nastenka. She took my hand, looked at me, startled.
What's the matter with you?
Listen to me, Nastenka. What I'm about to say, it's nonsense, impossible, stupid. I know, this can never be, but I can't stay silent. For the sake of what you're suffering now, forgive me beforehand.
What is it? What is it?
She looked at me intently, astonished, confused, with a strange curiosity flashing in her eyes.
What's the matter?
It's impossible, but I love you, Nastenka. There it is. Now everything is told. Now you'll see whether you can still talk to me, like you did just now. whether you can listen to what I still have to say.
Well, what then? What of it? I knew you loved me. I've known for a long time. Only I thought you simply liked me very much. Oh dear, oh dear.
At first, yes. At first, it was only liking, Nastenka. But now I'm in the same place you were when you went to him with your little bundle. No, worse. Because he never cared for anyone the way you care.
What are you saying? I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand at all. But why now? Why so suddenly? Oh dear, I'm talking nonsense. But you...
Her cheeks were burning. She dropped her eyes. What am I to do, Nastenka? What can I do? Am I to blame? Have I abused your trust? No, I'm not to blame. I know I'm not. My heart tells me I'm not. Because I could never hurt you, Nastenka. Never. I was your friend, and I am still your friend. I betrayed nothing. Here, my tears are falling. Let them fall. They hurt no one. They will dry, Nastenka.
Sit down. Sit down.
She made me sit beside her on the bench. No, Nastenka, I won't sit. I can't stay here anymore. You mustn't see me again. I'll tell you everything, and then I'll go. That's all I ask. You would never have known I loved you. I would have kept it hidden. I wouldn't have burdened you, especially now, with my selfishness. But I couldn't help it. You were the one who spoke of it. It's your fault, not mine. You can't drive me away.
No, I don't drive you away. No.
She tried to hide her confusion. Poor child. You don't drive me away? No, but I meant to run from you myself. I will go. But first, I must say this. When you were crying here, when you were suffering, when your heart was breaking from being forsaken, when your love was rejected, I felt in that moment that there was so much love in me for you, Nastenka, so much love. And it felt so bitter that I couldn't help you with it, that I had no right to offer what might heal you. And my heart, my poor heart, it broke. I could not stay silent. I had to speak, Nastenka. I had to speak.
Yes, tell me. Talk to me.
She made a gesture, one I can't describe. Open, aching, almost desperate.
Maybe you think it's strange that I talk to you like this. But speak. Say everything. I'll tell you everything afterwards. I promise.
You're sorry for me, Nastenka. That's all it is. You're simply sorry for me, my dear little friend. But what's done is done. What's said can't be taken back. Isn't that true? Well, now you know. That's the starting point. Very well. It's all right now. Just listen. When you were crying, just now, sitting here like that, I thought to myself, oh, let me say it. I thought, of course it cannot be, Nastenka, but I thought that maybe, somehow, you had stopped loving him, quite apart from me, just on your own. Just on your own. Then, I thought that yesterday, and the day before yesterday. If that had been true, then maybe I would have, maybe, made you love me. You said it yourself, Nastenka. You said you almost loved me. So, what's left? Nothing really. Only this. How would it have been if you had loved me? That's all I wanted to say. Nothing more. Just that. Listen, my friend, for you are at the very least my friend. Yes, I am a poor, humble man, of no consequence, but that's not the point. I don't seem able to say what I mean, Nastenka. I'm so confused. But if you had loved me, even if you still loved him, even then, you would never have felt that my love was a burden. Never. You would feel every minute that beside you was a heart, a grateful beating heart, a heart that would be warm only for you. Oh, Nastenka, Nastenka, what have you done to me?
Don't cry. I don't want you to cry. Come on, get up. Come with me. Don't cry. Don't cry.
She dries her own tears quickly with her handkerchief.
Let's go now. Maybe I'll tell you something. If he has forsaken me now, if he's forgotten me, though I still love him, I won't deceive you. But listen, answer me one thing. If I were to love you, if I only... Oh, my friend, my dear friend, to think how I wounded you when I laughed at your love, when I praised you for not falling in love with me. Oh, how could I not have seen this coming? How could I have been so stupid? But I've made up my mind. I'll tell you.
Look, Nastenka, do you know what? I should go. I'm only tormenting you. Now you're remorseful for laughing at me, and I won't have that, not on top of your sorrow. It's my fault, Nastenka, so goodbye.
Wait, listen to me. Can you wait?
Wait? For what? How?
I love him, but I'll get over it. I must get over it. I feel it. I'm already getting over it. Who knows? Maybe it will all end today because I hate him. He's been laughing at me, while you have sat here weeping with me. You haven't repulsed me like he did. You love me, and he never did. And I love you too. Yes, I love you. I love you as you love me. I told you before. You heard it yourself. I love you because you are better than he is, because you are nobler, because he...
Her emotion overcame her. She couldn't go on. She laid her head gently on my shoulder, then on my chest, and wept bitterly. I comforted her. I said nothing wise, but I held her. She wept and pressed my hand again and again.
Wait. It'll be over in a minute. I want to tell you something. You mustn't think these tears mean... It's nothing. Just weakness. Just wait till it's over.
At last, her sobs faded. She dried her eyes. We walked on again. I wanted to speak, but she stopped me still. We were silent, until, finally, she found her voice again.
It's like this. Don't think I'm light or inconstant. Don't think I forget so quickly or change so easily. I've loved him a whole year, and by God, I swear I never, even in thought, was unfaithful to him. But he has despised me. He laughed at me. God forgive him. But he insulted me. He wounded my heart. I don't love him anymore. I can't love what isn't noble, what doesn't understand me. He's not worthy of me, and that's enough about him. He's done better this way than if he'd fooled me longer and shown his heart too late. It's over. But who knows? Maybe the whole thing was a mistake, a delusion. Maybe it started in mischief, in nonsense, because I was kept so tightly by grandmother. Maybe I was meant to love someone else, someone different, someone who'd have pity on me. But don't let's talk more about that.
She broke off, breathless with emotion.
I only wanted to tell you, even though I loved him, did love him, if, in spite of that, you still say, if your love is so strong that it might drive out my old feeling, if you have pity on me, if you don't want to leave me to my fate without hope, without consolation, if you're ready to love me always as you do now, then I swear to you that my gratitude, my love will be worthy of yours. Will you take my hand?
Nastenka! Oh, Nastenka!
Enough. Well, now it's quite enough. Well, now everything has been said, hasn't it? You're happy. I'm happy too.
No more of that now. Wait, please, spare me. Talk of something else, for God's sake.
Yes, Nastenka, yes, enough about that. Now I'm happy. Yes, Nastenka, yes. Let's talk of other things. Let's make haste. Yes, I'm ready. And then, we didn't know what to say. We laughed. We wept. We talked nonsense. We crossed the road, turned back again, wandered the embankment like children set loose from school. I'm living alone now, Nastenka. But tomorrow, of course, you know, I'm poor. I only have 1,200 rubles, but that doesn't matter.
Is it that big house?
Yes, that one.
Oh, I know the one. It's nice. But you'd better give it up and come live with us as soon as possible.
Tomorrow, Nastenka. I owe a little rent, but that doesn't matter. I'll be getting my salary soon.
And I'll start giving lessons. First, I'll learn something myself, then I'll teach.
That's perfect. And I'll get a bonus soon, too.
So, by tomorrow, you'll be my lodger.
And we'll go to the Barber of Seville. They're staging it again soon.
Yes, we'll go. No, better something else. Not the Barber of Seville.
Very well, something else. That's better anyway, yes. I didn't think. We were intoxicated. Everything was bright and spinning. We'd stop suddenly, talking for ages in one spot, then wander again, who knows where. Laughter, tears again, then more laughter.
Of course not. And Granny has her pension. She'll be no burden. We must take Granny.
Of course we must take Granny. But then there's Matrona.
Yes, and Fyokla too.
Matrona's a good woman, but she has no imagination. Absolutely none. But that doesn't matter.
They'll live together. And I'll move in with you tomorrow.
Yes, come live with us. We've got a top floor. It's empty. There was an old lady there, but she left. Granny said she wouldn't mind a young man. I asked her, why a young man? And she said, oh, because I'm old, but don't think I want him as a husband for you, Nastenka. So I guessed what she meant.
Oh, Nastenka. And we both laughed.
That's enough now, enough. But where do you live again? I forgot.
Over that way, near Exbridge, Baranikov's buildings. We were already back on the embankment, back at our seat. Then, suddenly, she sighed. Tears welled in her eyes again. And I went cold with dread. But she pressed my hand and urged me forward, as if forcing me to walk, to speak, to not fall silent.
It's time I was home. I think it must be very late. We must give over being childish.
Yes, Nastenka. Only, I won't sleep tonight. I'm not going home.
I don't think I'll sleep either. But see me home?
Of course.
This time, we really must reach the house.
We must. We must.
Honor bright? You know one must go home sometime.
Honor bright?
Well, come along.
Come along. Look at the sky, Nastenka. Look, tomorrow will be beautiful. Such a blue sky. What a moon. Look, see that yellow cloud? It's passing in front of it now. Look. No, it's past. Look, look. But Nastenka did not look at the cloud. She stood silent, as though turned to stone. A moment later, she huddled closer to me. Her hand trembled in mine. I looked at her, and she pressed still closer. I stood a long time, looking after them. At last, the two vanished from my sight. Morning. My night ended with the morning. It was a wet day. The rain was falling, beating disconsolately against the window pane. It was dark in the room, and gray outside. My head ached. I was dizzy. Fever crept quietly through my limbs.
There's a letter for you, sir. The postman brought it.
She stooped over me.
Better look. Maybe it's written there who it's from.
A letter? From whom? I broke the seal. It was from her.
Oh, forgive me. Forgive me. I beg you, on my knees, to forgive me. Forgive me. Don't blame me, for I haven't changed towards you. I told you I would love you, and I do. I more than love you. Oh my God, if only I could love you both at once. Oh, if only you were he.
If only he were you, echoed in my mind. I remembered your words, Nastenka.
God knows what I would do for you now. I know you're sad, and it breaks my heart. But you love me, and when one loves, wrongs are soon forgotten. Thank you. Thank you for that love. It will live in my memory like a sweet dream, lingering after waking. I'll remember forever the moment you opened your heart to me like a brother, and so generously accepted the gift of my shattered heart, to care for it, to heal it. If you forgive me, my memory of you will be lifted up by a gratitude that nothing will ever erase. I will keep that memory safe. I will not betray it. I will not betray my heart. It is too constant. It returned so quickly to the one it always belonged to.
She had written it all, every word.
We shall meet again. You'll come to us. You'll always be a friend, a brother to me. And when you see me, you'll give me your hand. Yes, you'll give it to me. You've forgiven me, haven't you? You love me, as before? Oh, love me still. Don't forsake me, because I love you at this moment, because I am worthy of your love, because I will deserve it, my dear. Next week, I am to be married to him. He has come back, in love. He never forgot me. Don't be angry that I write about him. I want to come see you, with him. You'll like him, won't you? Forgive me. Remember, and love your Nastenka.
I stood a long time, looking after them, and at last, the two vanished from my sight. I read her letter over and over again. For a long time. Tears sprang to my eyes. I couldn't stop them. At last, the letter slipped from my fingers. I hid my face.
Dearie, I say.
What is it, Matrona?
Dearie, I've taken all the cobwebs off the ceiling. You can have a wedding now, or give a party.
I looked at Matrona. She was still hearty, a youngish old woman. But suddenly, I don't know why, I saw her differently. I pictured her with lifeless eyes, a wrinkled face, bent, decrepit. And just as suddenly, I saw my room grow old, like her. The walls were gray, the floorboards dull and dusty, the cobwebs thicker than ever. I turned to the window. Even the house opposite seemed to have aged, its yellow walls faded, patchy, the stucco on the columns peeling, the cornices cracked, blackened. Everything had become old, dingy, quietly ruined. But to imagine that I would bear you a grudge, Nastenka? That I would cast a dark cloud over your serene, untroubled happiness? That through bitter reproaches I might trouble your heart, poison it with guilt, make it throb with anguish in the very hour of your joy? No, never, never. That I should crush even one tender blossom twined in your dark tresses as you walk with him to the altar? Oh, never. May your sky be clear. May your sweet smile remain bright and untroubled. And may you be blessed, Nastenka, for that single moment of blissful happiness you gave to another soul, to a lonely, grateful heart. My God, a whole moment of happiness. Is that too little for the whole of a man's life?